Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Coffee Club. Myself, Robert Grieve, with me as ever, Bill Leckie. Christmas is fast approaching, so we thought we'd make
a little
bit of an effort.
Although very Christmassy.
I think it could be doing me a bit brighter, I think, Bill.
You think so? I suppose the one thing would be better about this jumper is if it lit up, Robert. And there we go. And watch. I mean, as the conversation goes, there you go. That's a jumper, isn't it?
Where did you get that?
Where did I get that? Oh, listen. If I let everybody know, everybody'd want one.
That's very true, not fantastic. It's been a busy weekend with the Old Firm fallouts.
Yes.
We enjoyed the game. It was a good cup final. It had
a slow burn.
A lot of drama. Yeah, first half was poor.
I
thought the overall standard actually was kind of poor, but certainly enough drama. And obviously the big talking point in the last couple of days is centred around something that didn't happen. Should have been a penalty for Rangers, quite simply. Wasn't spotted at the time, although referee John Beaton gave a free kick at the time, so he spotted it as a foul, but he's been let down badly, as far as I'm concerned, by the VAR.
Not only the VAR, Robert, I have to say, because I was thinking about, there was a very similar incident in the semi-final with Celtic and Aberdeen last year, and it was again, it involved Liam Scales,
right? Yeah.
Who, I can't remember who the Aberdeen player, but he pulls an Aberdeen player back right on the line down the edge of the same end, and the linesman doesn't flag. Now linesmen have stopped flagging for stuff that they used to flag for. Now if the linesman gets involved in the case of Scales and Czerny, it takes away.
Well, maybe it did. Maybe it did. Just because we don't see them flagging, they talk, they communicate.
They do, but I feel as if they're not getting involved. But let's maybe aside issue, right? The fact is, it's on the line, and the line is the penalty box. We're always told that the line is a penalty box, so it should be a penalty kick.
Yeah.
And it obviously plays a big part in a game. But then again, it was a game that had. We're seeing a lot of Rangers Celtic games like that in the last few years, where it become a bit of an epic mess, don't they? Where it's, you know, the quality is not great, but the action is just, you know, you almost forget about stuff that's happened in the game because so much goes on the longer it goes, you know.
Yeah, we'll come to some of the incidents in a minute, but what did you make of it? Because Rangers are understandably furious, which I get, because it was a big moment.
Yes.
Alan Muir's in the VAR,
yes.
Frank Connor assisting him in the VAR room. They've clearly made a mistake. Now Rangers want answers. They've been in touch with the SFA. Patrick Stewart, new chief executive, started working Monday, and basically the first thing he's done in his job is basically pick up the phone to Willie Collum and say what happened. Now I don't think Willie Collum can give him an explanation. They'll speak at the end of the week. They'll come out. The SFA, Willie Collum will come out. In the SFA's vehicles that they're showing in the kind of the VAR review, and he's going to basically hold his hands up, I think, and say this, and it was a mistake.
Yes.
Which the SFA have been good at.
Yes.
Frankly, since they've changed.
Since he came in, yes.
Since they've changed the kind of way they do things. Yeah. Since he came in, that's not going to wash with Rangers. Rangers are still going to be up in arms about it, but essentially, that's going to be it. There's not going to be any. It's not going to go any further than that.
Everybody's club has had that at some point this season.
Yeah.
You know, people have had decisions overturned. People have had the review panel saying, 5 out of 5 say that should never have been or that should have been. And because it's an Old Firm game and it's a cup final, it feels bigger. And when it's one of the two of them who are arguing about it, it always feels as if it's all about them. But everybody gets these decisions, and it's all about improving the quality from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that I think neither Alan Muir nor Frank Connor have been given a game this weekend tells you the story.
Yeah,
right?
No, absolutely.
They're on the naughty step for this one.
Yeah.
And
what do you make of that? Because part of me thinks that's the right way to go about it, even for their benefit, that they take them out of the firing line, they take them out of the kind of spotlight, and they give them a weekend off. But at the same time, what annoys me about the whole thing is this idea that they're corrupt.
That's nonsense.
It's nonsense. They made a mistake. I think absolute nonsense. Alan Muir sitting in a booth somewhere. Yeah. For whatever reason, he's made a monumental mistake. But that's what it is, it's a mistake.
However, what I would say is, if there's one VAR guy sitting there and he makes the mistake, but when there's two sitting there, and you've, now I don't know what the linesman, the assistant has said to the referee, but let's just take the two VAR people. That's the reason we have an assistant VAR person as well, to sort of see the things that his gaffer doesn't see.
Yeah.
So between 4 of them, they've missed something pretty big.
Well, the referee spotted. I think
he spotted an offence.
You've got to cut John's. John Beaton's not done anything wrong. Essentially, all right. It's very, very hard. It took reruns to see whether it was inside the box or not. He gave a foul, and presumably then he's waiting for the VAR to say, right, yeah, it was inside the box or not. They've gone, no, nothing to see here. It's a free kick. He gave the foul.
Yeah, that's
and the linesman. You're talking about the linesman. If he's been communicated, they've said it's a foul. It was a foul. So it's been Alan Muir that's let him down.
Absolutely. So the fact that the two of them are not involved this weekend tells a big story. What happens to the demoted, the stood down guys over that weekend? Do they get some kind of? Is it just stay out the road for the weekend? Are they on some kind of training course? Do they have to? I don't know what they do.
They've made a mistake.
Yeah, they have made a mistake. We all make mistakes. That's a big mistake.
It's a big mistake in a cup final because it's a cup final.
Yeah.
And it's an Old Firm final where everyone's watching it and it gets highlighted so much more because it's Rangers.
But that's
Celtic.
the point I'm making, is that that same mistake will have happened at Motherwell against St Johnstone and nobody.
Matthew McDermott, the referee at St Mirren against Dundee United a couple of weeks ago, misses Toyoso Olasanya getting wiped out
by the goalkeeper.
And the VAR misses it also. There's a penalty claim in that game that they get and a red card that.
Everybody, as I'm saying,
so
everybody gets
every
it,
single week.
But because it's a Celtic Rangers game, a Rangers Celtic game, it becomes this massive thing. And there is a feeling, and because of the how big the Rangers Celtic rivalry is that when it happens in those games, as you say, the corruption thing comes in, they're all out to get us thing comes in, and it's not right. None of that's the case. I don't believe any referees, VARs, assistants, anybody are anything less than normal, human, honest people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would imagine, I don't know Alan Muir, I would imagine in the fallout for that game, he's thinking,
he'll be gutted.
He'll be gutted, you know. That doesn't help Rangers fans, it doesn't help Rangers as a club. Rangers coming out and obviously saying they want kind of clarification, which always clubs seem to ask for these days, which you can understand as well to a certain extent. But my point is, they're not going to get anything else other than it was a mistake.
Yeah, but there's a big element of playing to the gallery there, isn't there? It's Patrick Stewart's first day in the job.
But all clubs do that. Of course they have. That's understandable.
But they've got a much bigger voice in that. Yeah. They know that's going to make back page.
He has to be seen to be standing up for his club. I don't have any problem with that at all.
No, not at all.
But it could easily happen at the end of the pitch. You have Celtic fans pointing to various instances of Rangers. It was a mistake. A bad mistake. It should have been a penalty. Whether, by the way, Rangers would have still won the game, who knows? Because the game was going from end to end, and as you're probably going to touch on, they did have other opportunities. The 4-1 opportunity at 1-0 is a huge moment in the game, and obviously it goes to pens.
I was going to talk about that one, right? There's Rangers break 4 against 1 at 1-0 up, and all sorts of wrong decisions made. They blow the chance to go 2-0 up. So the whole thing about football is a game of mistakes. Now, the VAR guys are sitting there with the technology that we were told is to take away the mistakes, to take away the so the referee and the linesman might make a human error the same as a goalkeeper or a centre forward or whoever else might make. The VAR guys should have that human error taken away, but they can still lose concentration. They can still get things wrong. But yeah, it was actually, I thought the game was made far more exciting by the amount of mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you could get a really clinical game that ends up 0-0, 1-1, whatever. And it's just not half as good as a really poor quality game that ends up 3 each and goes to penalties.
Yeah, you wrote about Cyriel Dessers in your colour piece after the game, and we were sitting side by side. We both thought the same thing, in all honesty. Why is he a centre forward standing in the halfway line when a left back is going up to take a penalty and misses, and a goalkeeper goes up to take a penalty and scores?
Yes.
It has to be said, Jack Butland's penalty was absolutely phenomenal.
It was a stonker.
It was brilliant. But yeah, have you changed your tune on that? Have you thought about this anymore?
Do you know, I came away from it, Robert, on Sunday night, and I went home, and you think about what you've written, and I thought, have I gone a bit two-footed on this? And then I got the next day and I said, no, I can't believe that there were guys walking up there, right? So you take your left back, for instance, now he's come on as a sub as well, right? But you look at James Tavernier, right? He's played 120 minutes. He has, as captain, he's gone up to take the first one, which you would expect. If James Tavernier had missed that penalty, it would have finished him.
Yeah.
You know, after all he's been through with Rangers, after all the criticism, and yet he's got the minerals to stand up there and stick it away and lead from the front. You know, guys, I will put money on it. If the young boy Eagleman had been on the park, he would have taken a penalty.
Yeah.
Now, Rangers had players there, Diamandi, Cherny, Bajrami, boys that basically could barely walk by the time it got into extra time because of cramp and because of injuries. And yet they still kept going. I thought the effort Rangers put into that game was absolutely monumental.
It was,
And for a guy who's been on the park for... Now, he came on, I think, the 99th minute, and I think was booked within a minute. I don't remember him doing really very much else. And then it was that weird moment when it came to the Rangers' fifth penalty, and we looked sort of at the halfway, who's walking up, and nobody's walking up. We said, what's happened here? And then you realise that Butland's got the ball in his hands. Now, I know that in the Celtic Aberdeen semi last year, Joe Hart took Celtic's fifth penalty, but before him, Ida had taken a penalty, Matt O'Reilly had taken a penalty, Lewis Palmer had taken a penalty, and Paulo Bernardo had taken a penalty. There's 4 guys who you would say are penalty takers. But for Yilmaz and Butland to be taking penalties and Dessers not, I think was unforgivable.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one, and it's probably obviously the fallout because of the penalties been the talking point in the last few days, and it's probably also been kind of papered over a little bit the fact that Jack Butland took such a great penalty.
It was a great penalty. You know. It's a belter.
Someone was going to miss.
Yes.
Someone was going to miss.
Someone has to miss.
I just don't understand. If I'm a centre forward in that team, striker as they call them these days, why would you not want to go and take the penalty?
No. You want to be the hero.
I don't understand. You've got a different mindset as a guy that scores goals. You want to be the guy that steps up.
It's funny because
you would be like, if Philip come on was to have said afterwards, I decided who was taking the penalties.
Yeah.
I took it out of the player's hands and I decided it's him and him. If I'm Cyriel Dessers, for me would then go, well, sorry, why are you not picking me?
I'm the guy with number 9 on my back.
I'm your number 9 for Rangers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why are you not picking me?
It was funny because you were sitting on my left, it was me, and then our colleague Kenny McDonald's on the right. And Kenny McDonald, when Dessers was coming on, said, wouldn't it just be the thing if Dessers came on and was the hero that scored the winning goal? And you think, well, there's a story for you.
Yeah.
And yet it flips the other way because he's standing there like a stookie in the halfway line, letting his mates take the penalties. And I found it baffling. And there's not... Why would Philip Clement come out and explain why something didn't happen? He explained why. I think you asked him why Butland did take a penalty. Yeah. But no, I felt it was now I've already watched Cyriel Dessers in a game against St Johnstone a couple of months ago walk off the park without being subbed because he felt he was being badly treated by St Johnstone defenders, and to me it's shown a fragility that I'm not sure. I'm not sure you can be that fragile and play number 9 for one of the biggest clubs in the country. Yeah.
The ironic thing is, he's maybe thinking, now maybe Cyriel Dessers takes penalties in training every week and he's horrendous, right? Maybe there's just a mental block, he's just horrendous. And maybe it's for the benefit of the team that he didn't take a penalty. But noticeably, James Tavernier actually spoke after the game and he made a little comment about fair play to the guys who had the bottle to kind of go out and take it.
Yeah.
And was that a little bit of a dig? I don't know, maybe it wasn't. But the actual thing turns out to be that Cyriel Dessers, if there's a thing in his head where he thinks, I don't want to take the penalty because if I miss, I'm getting slaughtered. Well, he's getting slaughtered for not taking the penalty.
Of course he is.
He'd actually be better grunt missing.
I would never, if I was a Rangers fan, I would have nothing to say about Yilmaz missing.
Zero.
Because
nothing.
Somebody has, and it's actually a very, very good save.
I don't think any fan would criticise any player.
I think, like you'll get your
Tavernier because of the situation, but even so, if
but you know what
would have been a bigger problem for Tavernier if he had not taken a penalty.
But you know what
the guy who takes penalties.
But you know what would have happened to James Tavernier if he had missed the first penalty and it had cost him the blah blah blah. Right?
By BAMS.
The only time
I don't think anyone can criticise any player, and I don't think
very occasionally you'll get remember the Jason Cummings comes up and tries to dink one, puts over the bar. If you do something stupid, but Yilmaz has come up under a lot of pressure. He's hit the ball low to the keeper's left. The keeper's made a really, and also Kasper Schmeichel's mind games during the whole penalty.
What did you make of that?
I think he pushes it to the very limit. I think he also is. We saw in the St Johnstone St Mirren game at the weekend a penalty being retaken in the 99th minute because Josh Ray moves off his line. Kasper Schmeichel was off his line for most of those penalties, but pushing it to the very limit. Also, when the Rangers players were taking penalties, he was moving in the background.
That's the thing. Instance.
I don't think there's any rule against that.
I don't know if there is or not, but there should be.
Yeah.
Because a guy with head to toe in yellow standing, if you're the goalkeeper standing to your left, you've got this moving guy who stands up. Now I don't know.
However, Jack Butland could have done the same thing.
He could have done, yeah.
And I thought Jack Butland in goals for the penalties was very passive. He never looked as if he was going to save any of them.
No, that's true.
Whereas you always get the feeling that Schmeichel was going to save something.
Yeah, I definitely think his experience came into it a little bit.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
He's for me, what a signing he's been for Celtic. He stops the ball with every part of his body. He's just such a barrier.
Yeah.
And to come in and replace Joe Hart was a big move, and he's been tremendous for Celtic.
Well, one thing I will say is that we're talking about Rangers and the missed penalty. We're talking about how the Schmeichel potentially kind of borderline antics, whatever else. You've got to give Celtic a huge amount of credit. They weren't great on Sunday.
No,
they were by
poor.
their standards, they were all right.
As they've been for a wee while now.
But great mentality to actually come back to get into penalties. Their penalties were terrific. Engels, who's been really poor in the last month.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking about kind of minerals.
He was the one I thought might.
Yeah. Just
might
because
miss
the way
one.
it's been going for him,
but he was because I thought he had a great little ball for Kuhn for the third goal. Yeah. But generally, I thought he was really poor when he came on again.
He's been poor.
He just looks as if he's a boy that could do just a fortnight in Tenerife. On you go, son, recharge your batteries. Couldn't we all exactly? But I thought Celtic and Rodgers has talked a lot about. We talked about it last week as well. I think Rodgers has talked a lot about mentality being the thing when you're not playing well. And again, they were. I mean, the first goal, Greg Taylor gives away a cheap ball. Even at the third goal, Kasper Schmeichel, for all I'm praising him, doesn't come off his line. Defenders don't. You know, Dyson Maida lets the cross come in from Czerny. So there's a lot of substandard play from Celtic, but they find a way to get through and do it.
As I wrote in my match report, the history books don't show how teams played. You know,
not in the least.
They won the trophy. Fair play to them. 10th for Brendan Rodgers, phenomenal. What do you think? 10th trophy in his time at the club.
And it feels now as if he's fully recharged, doesn't it? It feels, because this time last year we're all saying, has he done the right thing? Is he going to last one season? Will he go out? And now he just looks as if he's back in the mode of wanting to win and win and win.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. It's actually hard to take you seriously though right now.
Is it?
Yeah. What? I don't know why.
Not just because of this.
Just generally. Oh, you've got a jumper on as well, Christmas jumper.
I've never worn a Christmas jumper in my life. I only did it because you asked me.
I'm exactly the same, and I'm kind of regretting going for the medium. Should have gone for a bigger one, I think. A little bit snug after all our festive eatings over the last and drinking in the last couple of weeks. But anyway, we're nearing the end of the year.
Yeah.
What have you made of the football we've been watching? Where you've been? What's been your highlights of 2024?
Personally, St Mirren getting back into Europe,
right?
For me was, and also and having the privilege of going and covering
you went
the away games.
Iceland,
I was in Iceland, I was in Norway, and there were two fantastic trips. And I ended up getting out after a couple of rounds, it was fine, but the fans were amazing. The trips were great. They were to two of the most expensive cities in the universe.
You're minted though, it doesn't matter.
Well, for me, obviously, but the these things go with it. And, this is Kashmir, right? But the trips for the fans were tremendous. For me, that's a highlight. Obviously, the thing we said we would never talk about again on this show.
Yeah, that's what I was
going to
say.
We have to talk about that thing that happened in June.
When I asked you that question, then I was thinking to myself, what was my highlight of the year? And I would have to say, probably the Euros.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, if you take Scotland out of the equation.
If you take Scotland out of the equation.
You've been to tournaments. I've been very lucky that I've had a run, even when Scotland have been, and I've always been at tournaments basically, and I'm very lucky in that respect from it in our job. For a lot of the guys who went there, they'd never been to a tournament. Certainly fans, most of the fans hadn't.
Yeah.
And most of the guys doing our job hadn't been, so it was a great experience to go and see how it works and to be part of all that and to get the feeling of let's do that again. I mean, the fact that Scotland, I think we're now far enough detached that we can probably say we're over it.
Yeah.
Because we've had quite a good autumn. We've grown into things. It's got better and it's got better. And we can almost put that behind us now, I think.
There's been a recovery, hasn't there?
Yeah.
We thought Steve Clarke was dead man walking in the back of it. There's a big argument that he should have been sacked by some. I don't think he should have been sacked. I don't think so either, not. Excuse me, but he's come through that, and there's been a bit of a resurgence, thankfully.
Yeah.
And the World Cup draw was last week.
Yeah.
I think it's
okay.
It's decent. I think we've got a fighting chance, and I think that's all we can really ask. We've not got
Would you rather, when we're waiting for Portugal or Denmark?
I think Denmark.
I think I'd rather have Denmark.
Denmark.
Because we know we've played them and we've beat them at home before.
They're good,
but I think Portugal's a
I just don't think there's. I just don't
really
think.
tough team.
I just don't. It's not Germany. It's not.
No. And it's a 4-team group as well. It's very old school, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've been in these 5 and 6 team groups.
Yeah.
And
it's over a short period of time.
Yes, it's going to be very condensed. Yeah.
No, so I think I'm relatively optimistic.
And we'll see ourselves against Greece in March.
4 times.
So see, they'll become the new Israel for us.
Yeah.
But we'll see how we are against them in the playoffs, and then we'll get them again. And then Belarus, you've got to be saying if you're going to have any chance of doing anything, and you get a Belarus, you've got to go and beat them.
Yeah, it'll not be in Belarus either. Where it'll be.
Poland, probably.
Poland, potentially, yeah. That's to come in the new year.
It's a shame because Minsk is a wonderful place.
Is it?
Yes.
I'm not sure if I've ever been to Minsk. Maybe I have. I've got a tendency to forget where I've been. Terrible memory. But yeah, we've got that to look forward to the new year. But yeah, the football's been...
You're saying the Euros, right? So if you take the Euros out, I mean, I'm saying my own personal one, man, what about you? Well, you've done a lot of travelling this year. What's been your...
I honestly can't remember. It's been so many flights, and I genuinely did enjoy the Euros. It was a difficult period at that point for me, for one thing or another. And yeah, it was something I'd been looking forward to for a long time, covering Scotland.
Yeah.
You say been to a number of tournaments. Well, we obviously done the last Euros.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't the same.
Didn't feel like a tournament.
No.
But when we've been to, Bill, you say we've been to various tournaments, and you always think about Scotland being there. For me, it was the perfect. Germany was the perfect base for it. We had a great time in Garmisch-Partenkirchen.
Yeah, wonderful place.
And yeah, fond memories. We had a good bunch of boys that were there with a good few laughs, a few beers and stuff like that. It was good. It was good, but you say the football killed us.
There's been a remarkable amount of football played away from the domestic scene in the last few months because of all the Nations League games, because of the extended Champions League and Europa League and Conference League. They're all getting bigger. It feels as if there's just a trip and a big game like every 2 minutes. It's massive.
No, genuinely, I mean, you're asking me, I do genuinely have a bad memory. I've gone to cities saying I've never been to. Oh, it'd be great to go there. I've never been, and somebody will say to me, "Oh, we were there 3 months ago or 6 months ago."
Yeah.
So I've got a terrible memory. But yeah, there's been a lot of, for me, Rangers Celtic have got results, and Scotland have got results in European games and Champions League, Europa League games, which has been so encouraging. And we've seen there's been a resurgence, I think, of our teams. And I say the Euros was disappointment on the pitch, but it was a great time. But no, when Scottish teams are going abroad now, you're feeling as though they've got a fighting chance, because there was a long time
that's a big difference,
cover them, and you're thinking, right, this is how many times did we traipse on the flight with the team, and the team would be waiting for you coming back after the game, and you'd literally be walking up the aisle of the plane to the back of the plane, like
with your head down,
bag over the shoulder, going, sorry boys, unlucky. We don't do that. We don't
we
travel with them
don't,
anymore.
No, we used to. No, we don't travel with them anymore.
But there's, when you're talking to guys after the games now, there's so much positivity. You know,
absolutely.
Our teams are competing against good opposition, and that's fantastic for me.
And our job, that makes such a... When we come away from games, you get to what's known as the mix zone, and you're waiting for players, and if you're waiting for players and they've lost 3-0 again, and you're asking them you're asking them questions they don't want to answer, they don't want to be there, you don't really want to be talking to them. When you come out and they've got, like say, Celtic's last couple of results away from home, Rangers' results away from home, Hearts this season, it's a joy to be able to say to players, well done, how you feeling? Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely different class. There's been a real change, I think, in that, and I think it's all goes well for the year ahead. What's your hopes for the year ahead then? What's your what you're looking forward to?
Well, obviously sitting on to win a League and Cup double, which would be quite good. And then world peace, whichever comes first. No, I think it looks as if Celtic are going to win the league, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if that. Yeah,
you're looking forward to that?
What's that?
You're looking forward to that?
No, I just think it's going to happen. So I think that is, if you're saying looking forward as in what's going to happen, what I'm actually looking forward to, I'm looking forward to Scotland in this playoff against Greece. I think that's a big game for us to try and get through. And then it will take it, if we come off the back of that with a positive result that keeps us sort of in that, we win the relegation playoff, and then we get into the World Cup, and it's for me the World Cup qualifiers this year are going to be massive. This is Steve Clark saying this is his last big crack at it. We need to get a World Cup, and if this is the year when we get in, 2025 is the year when we can qualify for a World Cup, it'll make such a massive difference to the way the game is, the way that we feel about Scottish football.
Yeah, but you say domestically, it does look as though Celtic have got a bit of a stranglehold on things.
Yes.
Is that, how do you feel about that from a Scottish football perspective? Do we need Rangers to be better? Do we need them to raise their game a bit, or is it a damaging thing when we've got a team winning constantly?
I think if you look around Europe, most leagues are now strangleholded. Strangleholded. You know, Bayern Munich, you know, PSG, Man City. And that's why it's so exciting now in England this season, the English Premier League, because Manchester City are having a nightmare. And so suddenly it becomes, is it Liverpool, is it Arsenal, is it Chelsea involved? That, you know, so when you get into that situation, the league becomes much more exciting. If you're a Celtic fan, you'll be saying, I don't care. You just want to keep winning and winning and winning. I would like to see, I liked the first half of this season, or the first couple of months of the season, when Aberdeen were going unbeaten, and
they've been a big story for the last few months.
They were, and I always think in Scottish football, because it's either Rangers, Celtic, Rangers all the time, when you get a team who comes with a run, remember the Hearts run under George Burley, when you suddenly went, oh wait a minute, they could split Rangers and Celtic, and then Aberdeen are talking about, and that's the big thing now, it's not maybe winning the league, it's maybe splitting Rangers and Celtic. And if somebody was to do that, you know, Motherwell had a crack at it before, and it makes the game more exciting.
Very, very difficult.
It's
when you look at the
difficult.
finances that Celtic have got right
Massive.
now, there's a gulf now. There's a real gulf, and as we've spoken about relentlessly in the last couple of months, Rangers are trying to improve things behind the scenes. You say they've made appointments in the last couple of weeks, which they hope that it's going to transform things. But there's a gulf between Rangers and the rest, and Celtic. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in January.
I was going to say, here's the thing.
Bringing players in.
If Celtic were to go and tool up with a couple of marquee type signings in January, whether they're on loan or whatever, and they really put an extra, you know, yard between them and Rangers and the rest, that would be very interesting to see.
Time will tell on that one. But yeah, it's an interesting few weeks ahead. We've got we're going to take a bit of a break. I think we've earned it.
I think we have as well. We've been doing this since you stopped staring at a jumper.
I think that jumper needs a chance to breathe.
So, listen, ever since we started doing this, as a kind of, we sat down and we went to the Euros and said, well, we'll start talking to each other during the day. And it's the only time we did speak to each other over. And we only did it because in the hotel we're staying in Garmisch, between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, they gave away free coffee and cakes. We thought, we might as well sit down and make some use of this free.
There was a plan in place before that, let's be honest.
Sort of. And it's been good fun, and people have been very kind to us about what
I was going to say that because we've had encouraging people to get in touch. If you've the comments you can do below, like and subscribe, we say every week. It helps a lot to get a feeling of how you guys feel about it. And people can get in touch. I had a John McCormick from Abu Dhabi get in touch with me saying he loves the podcast, big Rangers man, and he's enjoying life over there, I believe, but he enjoys this. And, so if you watch it, listen to it, let us know what you think. We're genuinely interested to know your thoughts.
Your friend you mentioned last week, the Hearts fan, who watches religiously, he was telling us again at the weekend how much he's enjoying it.
He does on his travels. He tunes in and he listens on the however he listens to these things. And so there's we don't always talk sense.
No.
But anyway,
who does?
We're having a bit of a chat, but
who does? I just listen. See the chance to talk about football over a cup of coffee with these cakes every week that you get here.
Yeah, so
is ridiculous.
We're just about done for 2024. Then we're going to take a break for Christmas. So traditionally, let's talk. By the way,
well, there are of course Ferrero Rochers.
Mimo and the team here.
I mean,
Bella Vita.
A little bit of Christmas cake, a little bit of tiramisu, a little fruit flan, some eclairs, some brownies. Say Ferrero Rocher and raspberries sprinkled with ice and sugar.
I'll maybe eat the raspberries so I don't stretch this jumper anymore. It's been stretched at the minute. My wife was right. It's a little bit on the tight side. I should have gone for the large.
I think you look magnificent.
Thanks very much.
There you go.
Yeah, you look bright anyway.
Cheers.
Let's say thanks for joining.
That's a first for me.
Thanks for joining us in Coffee Club this week again. We hope you all have a great Christmas and a brilliant New Year when it comes, whatever team you support. Brilliant for watching and hope you have a great festive period. All the very best.
Yo ho ho.